Well, one of our favorite things to do right here at Fut-Afrique is to test your knowledge. The question that we asked you last week was we wanted to know which African country or countries has the most appearances in the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup.
That's right. My West African sisters, Nigeria and Ghana, with 6 appearances each.
6 appearances each, but both these nations have still not been able to clinch that title. So that tells the rest of the world that their battle just lies in that battle as to who has the better jollof. Maybe the aspirations should be a bit better. I'm just trolling, but let's get into the trivia question this week. If you missed out on the fun, the question that we have for you this week, we want to know about Wydad Casablanca. When was the last time that they missed out in their participation in the CAF interclub competitions?
That's so easy, but the viewers at home are just going to have to watch the show next week to know the answer to that.
I feel like dragging you because you said it's so easy.
Nigeria
also thinks it's easy qualifying for the Under-17 FIFA Women's World Cup.
Shots fired. Hey.
But anyway, if you know the answer to this week's trivia question, make sure that you send it to us across all social media platforms. Use the hashtag, the only one that matters. That's hashtag Fut-Afrique. Now, let's get into burning topics and burning stories that caught our attention this week. Emilio Nsue, unfortunately, has been suspended from football for 6 months. This is the man who shone the brightest at the Africa Cup of Nations 2023 when he was the top goal scorer of the competition.
Unbelievable story. Not only banned for 6 months, also fined 150,000 Swiss francs. That's a lot of money.
Give us the backstory for someone who doesn't know the story as to why are they being fined? Why is he being suspended? Why is all of this happening?
Emilio Nsue represented the Spanish under-16 side. He played maybe 26.
Under-17, that would be?
Under-17 side all the way to the under-21s. And he's played up to 26 competitive matches for Spain at youth level. And now when Equatorial Guinea approached the Spanish FA for his services, they didn't go through the right channels per se. They didn't get the approval by FIFA before he could represent Equatorial Guinea on senior level. So that's where all the problems are coming from. He played the first 2 games for Equatorial Guinea and FIFA said, we don't like this, but Equatorial Guinea still kept playing him. And now from 2013 all the way to 2024, he scored 26 goals in 40 games for Equatorial Guinea, and the whole continent is celebrating him. He recently scored 1 goal, or 2 goals rather, over 2 matches for Equatorial Guinea's bid to qualify for the next World Cup. And now this is coming up. And I think it's unfair because after the Nations Cup is when this should have been introduced, not now when Equatorial Guinea are on the cusp of making history in their football.
You say it's unfair. You say it's unfair, but rules are rules, Adilane. Whether you did something 5 years ago, 10 years ago, yesterday, eventually it's going to catch up with you.
Cut the man some slack. Let's enjoy our football now. So
but rules are
5
rules.
goals in the Nations Cup. It could have been 6 if it just played that penalty.
Rules are rules. Unfortunately, he has his head on the chopping block and he has made us the example. So I think this is actually going to be a wake-up call for many associations around the world to make sure that everything is done correctly.
Wow, but I'm questioning the timing. Why now? Why not?
It's not an African thing. It's not a personal thing. It's a football thing. No. It is a football thing. That is that. Unfortunately, we will not be seeing the 32-year-old. You say he's 32?
For 6 months.
For 6 months. For 6 months. But more news and more stories that have caught our attention is that of CAF, as they have announced what is going to be required for the interclub competitions for the 2024-2025 season. And I know amongst many things, one thing that for me makes me happy is the fact that if you're in Champions League, you're in Champions League. If you're in Confed Cup, you're in Confed Cup. There's no, you don't do well in Champions League, you can trickle down into Confed Cup. That, they still say that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Oof. I mean, Simba, you know, Tanzanian football, we're seeing like some changes. Simba's going to be in the Confederations Cup, but they missed out on that Champions League spot because they finished on 69 points, but the goal difference with Azam Azam's going to be representing Tanzania for the first time in the Champions League since 2015.
That's insane.
And I'm excited about that. Yes, the rules are going to change a bit, but it's introducing new African talent to the continent.
And I think that's one thing that I love about this whole thing, especially the fact that we still have the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup. I think teams themselves are so amped to work hard within their local leagues because they also want to see themselves playing within the best league on the African continent.
That's right. Wydad Casablanca, oof. I'm going to miss them. They're not going to be qualifying for the CAF Confederations Cup Champions League this time around because they finished a whooping 28 points behind the league leaders.
Yeah. You know, that's one thing that I love about time, right? It comes and it goes. It doesn't stand still. It changes. So that's what we see within football. The teams that always used to be supreme don't necessarily stay there forever. New champions get to rise over and over again.
You know, I was afraid you were about to link to a commercial break then, and I was enjoying the conversation with you, so I'm glad.
Well, that's what we have heard from CAF. The 12 key associations are set to have 2 teams competing within the Champions League, as well as the CAF Confederations Cup. That is good news. South Africa, Parama, because we know that it's not just going to be Mamelodi Sundowns, but we also have the likes of Orlando Pirates and many other teams across the African continent that get to go compete within these CAF interclub competitions.